Eddie's Diner, corner of Fremont and 3rd Street, Las Vegas, August 14th, 1958, 11:43 p.m. Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. walked through the door, still in their stage clothes from the Sands. 2 shows that night, 6 standing ovations. They were exhausted, starving, and looking for the best late-night burger in Vegas. Eddie's Diner had that reputation. Open 24 hours, known for their chili cheese fries and a burger so good Frank Sinatra once ate 3 in one sitting. The place was half full. Truck drivers, casino dealers off shift, a couple of showgirls still in makeup. Working class Vegas, the real Vegas, the one tourists never saw. Dean and Sammy slid into a booth near the window. Red vinyl seats, formica table. The whole place smelled like grease and coffee and cigarette smoke. Perfect. A waitress, maybe 25, blonde, name tag said Betty, came over with menus and a pot of coffee. "Mr. Martin," she said, smiling wide, "saw your show last month. You were incredible." "Thanks, sweetheart. We're starving. What's good?" "Everything, but the chili burger's what you want." "2 of those, then, and coffee." Betty wrote it down, smiled, turned to head back to the kitchen. That's when Eddie Kowalski came out. Eddie owned the diner, 58 years old, Polish immigrant, built like a fire hydrant, thick neck, thick hands, the kind of man who'd worked construction for 30 years before buying this place with his savings. He saw Sammy sitting in the booth. His face went red. "Betty, get back here," he barked. Betty froze halfway to the kitchen. Eddie walked straight to the booth, looked at Dean, looked at Sammy, looked back at Dean. "Mr. Martin, we love having you here. You're always welcome, always." His voice was tight, controlled, "but your friends gotta go." The diner went quiet. Sammy's face didn't change. He'd heard this before, heard it 1,000 times. His eyes just went somewhere else, somewhere far away. Dean set down his menu, slowly. "Excuse me? I don't serve coloreds. House rule. Been that way for 15 years. Nothing personal." "Sounds pretty personal, Eddie." Eddie's jaw clenched. "Look, I don't make trouble. I don't want trouble. But I got customers, regulars. They don't like sitting next to them." Dean glanced around the diner. The truck drivers weren't looking. The dealers were staring at their coffee. The showgirls were whispering. Nobody was backing Eddie up. Nobody was stopping him either. "Them?" Dean's voice was quiet, dangerous. "You know what I mean. Say it." "What?" "Say what you mean, out loud, so everyone can hear." Eddie's face went redder. "I don't serve nigs. There. Happy? It's my diner, my rules." The word hung in the air like a bomb. Sammy flinched, just slightly. A lifetime of that word, a lifetime of being less than human because of 5 letters. Dean didn't flinch. He stood up, slowly. Every eye in the diner was on him now. Dean Martin, cool, calm, the most laid-back man in show business, the guy who made everything look easy. He wasn't smiling anymore. "Get out of my diner," Eddie said. His voice was shaken now, not from fear, from rage. "Both of you, right now." Dean reached into his jacket pocket. For a second, Eddie tensed, like he thought Dean might pull a weapon. Dean pulled out his wallet. He took out a $100 bill, put it on the table. Then he looked Eddie Kowalski dead in the eyes. 6 words, calm, clear, cold. "You'll regret this by morning." Then Dean and Sammy walked out. To understand what happened next, you need to understand Las Vegas in 1958. The city ran on one thing, money.
Not principles, not politics, not pride. Money. Vegas was built by gangsters, run by corporations, and sustained by tourists who came to gamble, drink, and see shows. The biggest show in Vegas? The Rat Pack. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Joey Bishop, Peter Lawford. They packed the Sands Hotel every night, 2 shows, 1,400 people per show. At $15 a ticket, that was $42,000 a night, just in tickets. Then you had the gambling, the drinking, the hotel rooms. The Rat Pack brought in millions, and Dean Martin was the second biggest draw after Sinatra. Eddie Kowalski had just kicked out a man who could make or break any business in Vegas with one phone call. Dean didn't go home that night. He drove straight to the Sands, found Jack Entratter, the entertainment director, woke him up.
Jack opened his door in pajamas, squinting. "Dean, it's midnight. What the hell?" "Eddie's Diner, Fremont and 3rd. You know it?" "Yeah, good burgers. Why?" "Strike it." Jack blinked. "What?" "Strike it. Add it to the list. No Rat Pack member eats there, ever. Spread the word." "Dean, what happened?" Dean told him. Every word. The slur. Sammy's face. The way the diner word's silent. Jack's expression hardened. "That ignorant son of a... I want it blacklisted. Tonight. Call everyone." "Dean, I can't just..." "You can. You will. Because if you don't, I walk." Jack stared. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. I'll break my contract. Let him sue me. But I don't perform in a city where Sammy gets called that word and kicked out of a diner." Jack ran a hand through his hair. "Jesus, Dean, you know what you're asking?" "I know exactly what I'm asking. Make the calls." Jack Entratter made the calls. By 1 a.m., every major casino in Vegas knew Eddie's Diner was out. The word spread like wildfire. Casino managers, pit bosses, dealers, showgirls, security guards, waitresses, cab drivers. By 2 a.m., half of working Vegas knew what Eddie Kowalski had done. By 3 a.m., they knew what Dean Martin had said. "You'll regret this by morning." The next day, Eddie's Diner opened at 6 a.m. like always. The breakfast rush was supposed to start at 6:30. By 7 a.m., Eddie had served 3 customers. 3! Normally, he'd have 40 by now. Truckers, construction workers, casino workers coming off graveyard shift. Nobody came. By 8 a.m., Betty, the waitress, came into the kitchen, worried. "Eddie, something's wrong. Where is everyone?" Eddie didn't answer. He was staring out the window at the empty street. By 9 a.m., one of Eddie's regulars, a blackjack dealer named Tommy, finally came in. Eddie practically ran to the table. "Tommy, Jesus, I thought..." "I can't stay, Eddie." Tommy looked uncomfortable. "I just came to tell you. Word's out. Everyone knows what you did last night." "What I did? I enforced my rules. You called Sammy Davis Jr. the N-word to his face with Dean Martin sitting right there. So what? It's my diner." Tommy shook his head. "Dean blacklisted you. Every casino in Vegas. We're not supposed to eat here anymore." Eddie went pale. "He can't do that." "He did. Jack Entratter made calls all night. If we're seen eating here, we get fired." "That's illegal." "Maybe, but nobody's going to fight Dean Martin over a burger, Eddie. Nobody." Tommy walked out. Eddie stood there alone in his empty diner, understanding starting to dawn. "You'll regret this by morning." By lunchtime, Eddie had served 8 customers all day. Normally, he'd have served 200 by now. By dinner, 12. By closing time at midnight, 23 customers total. Eddie's Diner usually served 400 to 500 people a day. That's how he stayed in business. That's how he paid rent, paid Betty, paid for food, paid for utilities. 23 customers didn't even cover his electric bill. The next day was worse. 11 customers total. Betty quit. "Eddie, I got bills. I need a place with tips. I'm sorry." Eddie tried to hire a replacement. Nobody applied.
Word was out. Eddie's diner was poison. On August 19th, 5 days after the incident, Eddie closed his diner at 2 p.m. He drove to the Sands Hotel, asked for Dean Martin. The front desk called up, came back shaking her head. Mr. Martin isn't taking visitors. Please, I need to talk to him. Just 5 minutes. I'm sorry, sir. Eddie sat in the lobby for 3 hours. Finally, at 5:47 p.m., Dean walked through, heading for his show. Eddie stood up. Mr. Martin, please. Dean stopped, looked at him. No expression. I made a mistake, Eddie said. His voice cracked. What I said, it was wrong. I was wrong. I'm sorry. You apologizing to me or to Sammy? To both or either. Please, I'm losing everything. Nobody comes to my diner anymore. I can't pay my bills. My wife is crying every night. I'll lose the place by the end of the month. Dean studied him. You know why nobody's coming? Because you blacklisted me. Wrong. Nobody's coming because they don't want to support a bigot. I just gave them permission to act on what they already felt. Mr. Martin, please, I have a family.
So does Sammy. You think he doesn't have people who cry when he gets called that word? You think his wife doesn't hurt when her husband gets kicked out of diners for existing? Eddie looked down. I know. I'm sorry. I truly am. Sorry doesn't fix it. Then what does? What can I do? Dean was quiet for a long moment. You want to fix this? Really fix it? Yes, anything. 3 things. First, you apologize to Sammy, in person, tonight. Eddie nodded. Okay. Second, you put up a sign in your diner. Big sign. Everyone's welcome, no exceptions, and you mean it. Black customers, white customers, everyone eats together, or you shut down permanently. Eddie swallowed. That'll cost me customers, the ones who agree with what I did. Then you don't want those customers. Third thing? Yes. You donate 10% of your profits to the NAACP every month for the next 5 years. Eddie's eyes widened. 10%? That's the price. Take it or leave it. Eddie stood there, calculating. 10% of nothing was still nothing. Right now, he was making nothing. Okay, I'll do it. All of it. Dean nodded. Sammy's in his dressing room, backstage. Go. Eddie Kowalski walked backstage to Sammy Davis Jr.'s dressing room. Knocked. Sammy opened the door. Saw Eddie. His expression went flat. What do you want? Mr. Davis, I came to apologize. What I said was wrong. Hateful. I'm ashamed. I'm sorry. Sammy stared at him. You called me the N-word 5 days ago. Now you're sorry? Yes. Because Dean shut down your business? Because I was wrong. You weren't wrong 5 days ago? Eddie didn't have an answer for that. Sammy sighed, looked tired. You know how many times I've heard that word? You know how many diners I've been kicked out of? How many hotels I can't stay at? How many restaurants won't serve me? No. Hundreds, thousands maybe. And you know what the worst part is? What? It's never personal. That's what you all say. Nothing personal. Like that makes it hurt less. Eddie looked down. I'm sorry. Are you? Or are you sorry you're losing money? Both. I'm sorry for both. Sammy studied him for a long moment. Then he said something Eddie didn't expect. I forgive you. Eddie's head snapped up. What? I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, because I'm tired of carrying hate around. You want to change? Change. Prove it. But I'm done giving people like you space in my heart. Eddie's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank Dean. He's the one who went to war for me. I would have just found another diner. Eddie Kowalski reopened his diner on August 22, 1958. New sign out front, hand-painted, big letters. Everyone welcome, no exceptions. The first day, 14 customers came. The second day, 23. By the end of the week, he was back up to 150 customers a day. Not 400,
but enough to survive. Some of his old regulars never came back, the ones who liked the old policy, the ones who thought Eddie was right to kick Sammy out. Eddie didn't miss them. New customers came instead, black dealers from the casinos, Hispanic kitchen workers, Asian waitresses, the people who'd never felt welcome before. Eddie served them all, same prices, same service, same respect. And every month he calculated his profits and sent 10% to the NAACP for 5 years. Eddie never missed a payment. Dean and Sammy came back to Eddie's diner exactly 1 month later, September 14th, 1958, late night after their show. They walked in together, slid into the same booth. Eddie came out from the kitchen, hands shaking. "Mr. Martin, Mr. Davis, welcome." Dean looked around, saw the new sign, saw the mixed crowd, saw a black couple eating burgers at the counter, sitting next to a white truck driver, nobody caring. "Looks different in here, Eddie." "It is. Different. I think." "You think?" "I know. It's better." Dean nodded. "2 chili burgers, coffee." "Coming right up." Eddie brought the food himself, set it down carefully. "It's on the house." "No," Dean said. "We pay, like everyone else." Eddie nodded, left them alone. Dean and Sammy ate their burgers.
Best burgers in Vegas. When they finished, Dean left a $50 tip. Eddie found it after they left. Under the plate, a note in Dean's handwriting. "Keep the sign up. Keep your word. That's how you earn forgiveness. DM." Eddie's Diner stayed open until 1974. Eddie Kowalski died in 1973, heart attack. He was 73 years old. His wife sold the diner to a hotel chain. They tore it down, built a parking garage. But for 16 years, that diner was different, integrated, equal, a place where everyone was welcome. Because Dean Martin said 6 words, "You'll regret this by morning." And Eddie Kowalski spent the rest of his life proving Dean right. Sammy Davis Jr. talked about that night in his autobiography, Yes, I Can. He wrote, "Dean didn't just defend me, he went to war. He risked his reputation, his relationships, his career, and for what? A burger. But it wasn't about the burger, it was about dignity, about being seen as human." Dean understood that. He understood that every time someone kicks you out, calls you that word, treats you like you're less than, it takes a piece of your soul. Dean gave that piece back. Dean never talked about it in interviews. When reporters asked, he'd shrug. Eddie made a mistake. He fixed it. End of story. But it wasn't the end of the story, because what Dean did that night rippled outward. Other entertainers noticed. Other diners noticed. Other business owners noticed. If Dean Martin could blacklist a business for racism, anybody could. Suddenly, bigotry had consequences. Not legal consequences, not government consequences, social consequences, financial consequences, the kind that hurt. By 1960, most diners in Las Vegas were quietly integrated. Not because of laws. Nevada didn't pass civil rights legislation until 1965. Because of money. Because the Rat Pack, led by Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra, made it clear, treat everyone equally or lose millions in revenue. It worked. Faster than protests, faster than legislation, faster than anything else. Because Vegas understood one language fluently, money, and Dean Martin spoke it better than anyone. Eddie Kowalski and Dean Martin never became friends, but they understood each other. Eddie sent Dean a Christmas card every year until Dean died in 1995. Never asked for anything, just a card. "Thank you for teaching me how to be better." Dean never responded, but he kept every card. His daughter found them after he died, in a box in his closet, next to photos of Sammy. This story isn't about cancel culture or public shaming. It's about accountability. Eddie Kowalski used a slur, kicked a man out for the color of his skin, did it proudly, did it publicly.
Dean responded not with violence, not with screaming, but with 6 calm words and then action. He didn't ask Eddie to change, he didn't debate him, he didn't try to educate him. He just made racism expensive. And when Eddie wanted back in, Dean gave him a path. Clear terms, non-negotiable. Apologize, change your policy, donate your money, prove you mean it. Eddie did all 3. That's the lesson. Consequences don't destroy people, they wake them up. Eddie Kowalski died a better man than he lived for most of his life because Dean Martin held him accountable, because Sammy Davis Jr. forgave him, because change is possible, but only if it costs something. If this story moved you, subscribe for more untold stories about the Rat Pack and the moments that changed history. Comment below, have you ever held someone accountable when it cost you something? And remember, Dean Martin could have just found another diner. He didn't. He chose to make it matter. What will you choose?